Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything you thought was holding you back was actually building you. Imagine discovering that the very things you've been trying to avoid, the pressure, the stress, the uncertainty, were never barriers. They were invitations. Invitations to become someone stronger, sharper, more resilient than you ever believed possible. But most people never see it. They think life is supposed to get easier. They think challenges are signs they're doing something wrong. They think struggle means they're failing. And because of that belief, they stop. They hesitate. They shrink. What if I told you that the opposite is true? What if the reason things feel hard is because you're leveling up? What if the discomfort you feel right now is the exact proof that you are growing? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you faced a moment so difficult you thought you couldn't handle it? And yet you did? Maybe you didn't even realize it at the time, but that moment didn't weaken you. It strengthened you. It reshaped you. It rewired you. See, you're not meant to walk an easy path. You're meant to walk the one that transforms you. So stay with me, because by the time we're done here, you won't be wishing for life to get easier anymore. You'll be ready to become stronger. Discomfort is your training ground. It's the place where your limits are exposed, your excuses rise to the surface, and every part of you wants to retreat back into what feels familiar and safe. But familiarity doesn't build strength. Safety doesn't shape resilience. Comfort doesn't transform anyone into the kind of person capable of handling life at its fullest intensity. Discomfort does. That uneasy feeling in your chest, that pressure in your mind, that moment where you question yourself, that's the weight you're meant to lift, not escape. Think about how muscles grow. When you lift a weight heavy enough to challenge you, the muscle fibers literally tear, not because you're weak, but because that's the mechanism of growth. That microscopic damage tells your body, we need to get stronger than this. So you repair, you rebuild. You come back bigger, more capable, more powerful. That process doesn't happen in comfort. It happens under pressure. And your mind, your spirit, your character, they work the exact same way. Every struggle tears you just enough to signal that you're leveling up. Every challenge forces you to adapt, expand, and rise. Most people try to build a strong life using comfort as the foundation. They want success without struggle, confidence without conflict, resilience without adversity. But that's not how strength works. You can't train without resistance. You can't evolve without discomfort. You can't become unshakable if you never allow yourself to be shaken. Discomfort is not a punishment. It is the environment where you forge a stronger version of yourself. But discomfort doesn't feel like empowerment at first. It feels like chaos. It feels like loss of control. It feels like you're being stretched in ways you're not ready for. And this is where most people stop. This is where they turn back. They decide the pressure means they're not capable. They mistake the presence of difficulty for the absence of ability. But the truth is, discomfort isn't blocking you. It's revealing you. It's showing you exactly where your next level is. It's pointing to the parts of you that need refinement, discipline, and expansion. Every time you avoid discomfort, you avoid growth. You avoid the chance to become someone stronger. You avoid the opportunity to show yourself what you're truly made of. The easy path might feel good in the moment, but it robs you of transformation. It denies you the chance to build a mind that can withstand the storms that life will inevitably bring. Because storms are coming, whether you're ready or not. But discomfort, intentional, chosen, embraced discomfort, prepares you for them. Think about the hardest moments of your life, the ones that nearly broke you. You didn't come out of those moments weaker. Even if you came out tired, wounded, or uncertain, you still came out stronger. You learned something. You grew in a way comfort never could have taught you. Pain has a purpose. Suffering has a lesson. Struggle has a reward hidden inside it that only reveals itself when you push through instead of backing down. People who become great, mentally strong, unstoppable, grounded, aren't built in comfort. They're built in the uncomfortable moments that force them to confront themselves. They're built in situations where they could have quit but chose not to. They're built in the days when they didn't feel like showing up but did anyway. They're built in the moments of doubt when they could have surrendered, but decided to fight for the person they wanted to become. Discomfort molds you into someone who doesn't just survive pressure, someone who thrives in it. And here's the powerful truth: discomfort gets less intimidating the more you face it. Not because the challenges become smaller, because you become bigger. Your capacity expands, your tolerance increases, your mindset shifts. What used to overwhelm you becomes routine. What used to scare you becomes manageable. What used to feel impossible becomes your warm-up Discomfort never stops being uncomfortable, but you stop being someone who's threatened by it. When you walk into discomfort willingly, you reclaim your power. You learn to hold yourself together when everything around you is complicated or uncertain. You learn to observe your emotions without letting them control you. You learn to stay steady even when things feel unstable. You develop the kind of internal strength that can't be taken from you because you earned it. You bled for it. You pushed through for it. Discomfort trains you to trust yourself. It teaches you that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect feeling to take action. It teaches you that you can handle more than you think. It teaches you that fear doesn't have to be a stop sign. It can be a starting point. When you get comfortable being uncomfortable, you become unstoppable. You stop negotiating with hesitation. You stop calculating your limits based on yesterday's fears. You start stepping into challenges with confidence instead of avoidance. Most people underestimate themselves because they haven't spent enough time in the arena. They avoid discomfort, so they never discover their real strength. They run from pressure, so they never realize how much they can carry. They hide from challenges, so they never find out how capable they actually are. Discomfort is the teacher that shows you your potential. It exposes the truth that you are stronger, braver, and more resilient than you give yourself credit for. Discomfort is not there to destroy you. It's there to develop you. It's there to prepare you for the opportunities you want to seize, the dreams you want to chase, the life you want to create. Everything you desire, confidence, resilience, achievement, fulfillment, lives on the other side of discomfort. If you want to meet the strongest version of yourself, you have to walk straight into the places that challenge you. So don't run from discomfort. Step into it. Honor it. Use it. Every moment you face it head on, you're training, you're strengthening, you're becoming. You're building the version of yourself who doesn't need life to get easier because you've become powerful enough to handle exactly what life gives you. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes. It rises when things are exciting and disappears the moment life gets inconvenient. You already know this. We all do. Think about every time you felt fired up to start something, a new habit, a new routine, a new dream. In the beginning, motivation feels unstoppable. You're ready. You're eager. You're energetic, and then inevitably the feeling fades. Maybe you get tired, maybe you get busy, maybe the results aren't showing up fast enough, and suddenly that spark you relied on to get started is gone. This is where most people quit. Not because they aren't capable, not because the dream isn't worth it, but because they depended on a feeling that was never designed to last. Discipline is different. Discipline isn't emotional, it's intentional. It doesn't care how you feel in the moment. It doesn't need excitement, inspiration, or perfect conditions. Discipline is a decision you make over and over again, long after the feeling that started it has disappeared. It's the commitment to show up no matter what. It's the inner voice that says, I will do this, even when every part of you is trying to negotiate your way out of it. Motivation might get you moving, but discipline keeps you moving. And the people who achieve remarkable things in life aren't the ones who feel inspired all the time. They're the ones who act even when they don't. When discipline becomes your foundation, you stop relying on temporary emotional highs. You stop waiting for the perfect moment because you realize the perfect moment doesn't exist. You stop looking for permission to begin because you understand that the only permission you need comes from within. Discipline is the muscle that carries you through resistance. And like any muscle, it gets stronger the more you use it. The first challenge with discipline is that it often feels uncomfortable. It demands effort when you want ease. It demands consistency when you want convenience. It demands action when you want excuses. But this is precisely why discipline transforms you. It forces you to rise above your momentary feelings and act in alignment with your long-term vision. Anyone can do something when they feel motivated. Anyone can take action when they're excited. But what do you do when you're tired? When you're frustrated? When you're overwhelmed? That's where discipline separates you from the crowd. Those who rely on motivation stop. Those who rely on discipline keep going. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. The gap between your current self and your future self is filled with daily decisions, small commitments, and repeated actions. It's built one choice at a time. And discipline is what ensures those choices happen, especially when your feelings try to talk you out of them. If you want change, you can't depend on how you feel. You must depend on what you've committed to. There will be days when discipline is the only thing you have. Days when everything goes wrong, nothing feels right, and the last thing you want to do is push forward. These are the days that matter the most. These are the days that build your character, your resilience, and your identity, because every time you act despite resistance, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who follows through. And that belief, repeated enough times, becomes a powerful internal truth. This is why discipline outperforms motivation. It builds identity. Motivation gives you emotional momentum, but discipline rewires who you are. Discipline shifts your self-perception from, I hope I can do this, to, I know I can do this. It removes doubt because you've proven to yourself over and over again that you can be trusted to show up. There is incredible power in becoming someone who trusts their own word. When you say you'll do something and you actually do it, you build a level of confidence that no external praise or motivation could ever match. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear: discipline is hard. It's supposed to be. If it were easy, everyone would be living their dream life. Everyone would be in perfect shape. Everyone would have mastered their craft. Everyone would be unstoppable. But discipline demands something from you. It requires sacrifice. It requires patience. It requires effort. But the price you pay for discipline is nothing compared to the price you pay for regret. One path forces you to invest effort now. The other forces you to suffer later. You get to choose which pain you want. What's powerful is that discipline doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. You don't have to be flawless. You just have to be committed. You show up. You try. You adjust. You keep going. Some days you'll do more. Some days you'll do less. But you still keep the promise you made to yourself. That's discipline. That's what changes lives. People often say they lack motivation, but the truth is they lack structure. Discipline flourishes with structure. When you create routines and systems that support your goals, you make discipline easier to practice. You remove decision fatigue. You minimize distraction. You build environments where excuses lose their power. And when your systems support your identity, discipline becomes less of a struggle and more of a natural part of your life. The secret is to treat discipline as a skill, not a trait. Skills are developed. Skills are trained. Skills are strengthened through repetition. You weren't born disciplined. You become disciplined by practicing discipline. Start small. Start small. Commit to something manageable. Follow through. Then build from there. The goal isn't to overwhelm yourself. The goal is to evolve yourself. And the incredibly rewarding thing about discipline is that it compounds. Every disciplined action, no matter how small, adds to your momentum. Every day you honor your commitments, you reinforce the identity of a disciplined person. Over time, that identity becomes unshakable. And suddenly what once felt impossible becomes your new baseline. What once felt like effort becomes routine. What once required discipline becomes part of who you are. Motivation might get you to take the first step, but discipline is what takes you the distance. It's what turns dreams into results. It's what transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones. It's what separates those who wish from those who achieve. Discipline doesn't rely on emotion. It relies on choice, on action, on repetition. When you master discipline, you gain something far more valuable than motivation. You gain control over your life. You gain the power to direct your actions instead of reacting to your feelings. You gain the strength to push through resistance, to stay committed, to rise above excuses. You become someone who doesn't wait for inspiration. You create it. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not exciting. It's not loud. It's steady. It's quiet. It's relentless. But it's the force that builds greatness. When motivation fades, and it always will, discipline remains. And that is why discipline will always outperform motivation. It's the backbone of success, the engine of progress, and the foundation of every strong, resilient, unstoppable person you've ever admired. You don't need more motivation. You need to strengthen your discipline, because once discipline becomes who you are, there is no dream too big, no challenge too difficult, and no obstacle strong enough to stop you. Strength doesn't appear out of nowhere. It isn't something you stumble into or something that magically shows up because you wished for it. Strength is the direct result of doing hard things on purpose, not by accident, not only when life forces you to, but because you actively choose the path that challenges you, stretches you, and pushes you beyond your comfort zone. Most people think strength is something you either have or you don't, but real strength is built. It's trained. It's earned through deliberate struggle and intentional discomfort. Doing hard things on purpose isn't about punishing yourself. It's about expanding yourself. It's about proving to your mind that the limits you once believed in were illusions. It's choosing situations that require you to grow rather than choosing the easy route that allows you to stay exactly where you are. You don't build strength by choosing convenience. And you build it by choosing challenge. Look at the people you admire, those who seem unshakable, confident, powerful. They didn't become that way by accident. They became that way because they deliberately walked into difficult situations and learned how to navigate them. They didn't wait for courage to show up before acting. They acted so that courage had a reason to grow. They didn't wait for life to get easier. They got stronger by taking the harder road again and again. You can't rise to the level of your dreams. You rise to the level of your training. And training happens every time you choose the harder thing when the easier option is sitting right there, tempting you. Every time you take the longer route, the tougher route, the route that scares you, you're casting a vote for a stronger identity. You're literally teaching your brain, this is who we are now. Someone who does hard things. Doing hard things on purpose builds a type of strength you cannot fake. It builds grit, not the loud, aggressive kind, but the quiet and consistent kind. The kind that whispers, I can handle this, when pressure rises. The kind that keeps your feet grounded when everything feels overwhelming. The kind that refuses to quit even when quitting is the easiest choice available. Hard things reshape you. They challenge the version of you that relies on excuses. They expose the parts of you that you've been avoiding, the weaknesses you pretend aren't there. But instead of humiliating you, those hard things invite you to strengthen what's been neglected. They show you where you need practice, improvement, and patience. They show you your potential, not in theory, but in reality. When you do hard things intentionally, you build trust in yourself on a level most people never experience. You stop doubting your ability because you have evidence, real evidence, that you can face discomfort, pressure, fear, and uncertainty and still move forward. Most people doubt themselves because they've never given themselves the opportunity to prove what they're capable of. But you can change that. You can give yourself evidence of your strength every single day by choosing challenges instead of avoiding them. The truth is, we live in a world designed to make everything easier. Technology, convenience, instant gratification. They give us comfort, but they rob us of resilience. They create the illusion that life should always be effortless. But the people who thrive, who rise, who accomplish things that matter, they intentionally break out of that bubble. They choose what is difficult because they understand that struggle is not the enemy. It's the catalyst. Doing hard things on purpose doesn't mean you need to climb a mountain or run a marathon every week. Hard things come in many forms. Waking up early when you'd rather sleep in. Having difficult conversations you've been avoiding. Saying no when it would be easier to say yes. Staying committed when the initial excitement fades. Focusing when distractions feel more comforting. Showing up on the days you'd rather hide. These may look small, but they build monumental strength over time. Hard things done consistently create an internal toughness that cannot be shaken. You start becoming someone who isn't thrown off by challenges, who doesn't crumble at the first sign of resistance. Instead, you become someone who expects resistance and meets it with intention. Someone who doesn't panic when life gets tough because you've trained for it. You've already put yourself through situations that required resilience, focus, and patience. The reason doing hard things on purpose is so powerful is because it prepares you for the hard things you don't choose. Life will always bring unexpected challenges. Difficulty is unavoidable. But when you've trained yourself through deliberate hardship, you don't fall apart when life throws something at you. You've built the inner structure to hold yourself together. You've developed the mental toughness to stay calm. You've strengthened the emotional resilience necessary to think clearly when others break down. You can't avoid difficulty, but you can prepare for it. You can build yourself into the kind of person who handles storms with steady hands and a clear mind. That strength isn't built during the storm, it's built beforehand when you choose to challenge yourself instead of seeking comfort. There's a freedom that comes with choosing hard things. At first, it feels like restriction. It feels like discipline. It feels like sacrifice. But over time, it becomes liberation. You liberate yourself from fear because you've proven you can face it. You liberate yourself from doubt because you've proven you can overcome it. You liberate yourself from weakness because you've built strength through effort and discomfort. Doing hard things on purpose is your path to unlocking a version of yourself you haven't met yet, a version that is stronger, wiser, more confident, more resilient. A version of you that doesn't need easy because you've trained for hard. You don't become extraordinary by accident. You become extraordinary by repeatedly choosing the things that most people avoid. And when you make that choice over and over again, you start to realize something powerful. You are capable of far more than you ever imagined. Hard things don't just build strength. They reveal it. They show you who you've always had the potential to become. So choose the harder path. Not because it's difficult, but because you are someone capable of growing through the challenge. Because every hard thing you do on purpose makes you unstoppable in the moments when it truly matters. Emotional resilience is not something that only a select few are gifted with at birth. It's not a personality trait that some people just naturally possess while others are doomed to crumble under pressure. Emotional resilience is built, not born. It is shaped over time by the experiences you survive, the challenges you face, and the deliberate choices you make to strengthen your inner world. Every single emotionally strong person you admire wasn't always that way. They became who they are because life demanded it. And they answered. Resilience isn't about being unfeeling or indifferent. It isn't about pretending you're fine when you're struggling. It isn't about suppressing emotions or ignoring them. True resilience is the ability to feel everything: fear, sadness, frustration, disappointment, and still remain capable of thinking clearly, acting intentionally, and moving forward. It's about staying rooted when the world shakes you. It's about being able to bend without breaking. Not because you're naturally tough, but because you have trained yourself to be. Life constantly presents you with moments that test your emotional strength, a setback you didn't expect, a loss you weren't ready for, a rejection that stings deeper than you anticipated, a pressure that feels bigger than your capacity. Most people think these moments are sent to break them, but these moments are actually opportunities. Opportunities to build emotional muscle. Every difficult moment invites you to practice resilience. Even if you don't realize it at the time, you don't become emotionally strong by avoiding pain. You become emotionally strong by learning how to carry it. Resilient people aren't fearless. They simply know how to manage fear. They're not immune to stress. They've just developed strategies to stay grounded while experiencing it. They don't eliminate emotional discomfort. They build the capacity to move through it without losing themselves. Just like physical strength grows from repeatedly facing resistance, emotional resilience grows from repeatedly navigating emotional difficulty. Being emotionally resilient doesn't mean staying calm because life is easy. It means staying calm because you've learned how to handle life when it's not. You develop emotional resilience when you stop running from discomfort and start confronting it with awareness and intention. Think about the moments in your life where you grew emotionally. They weren't the moments when everything was gentle and peaceful. They were the moments when life was testing you, stretching you, or even hurting you. Emotional resilience comes from each time you've been knocked down and chosen to stand back up. It comes from each time you faced uncertainty and walked forward anyway. It comes from each time you felt overwhelmed or discouraged and still kept going. It comes from each time you told yourself, I can get through this, even when you didn't fully believe it yet. There's a misconception that emotionally strong people are naturally tough or stoic. But many of the strongest people you know were once incredibly sensitive, easily overwhelmed, or deeply affected by challenges. Emotional strength comes from exposure, not avoidance. When you allow yourself to face your emotions instead of running from them, you begin to understand them. When you understand them, you gain control over them. And when you gain control, resilience is born. Life will always give you moments that challenge your emotional balance. But the more you practice staying grounded under pressure, the more confidence you build in your ability to navigate emotional turbulence. Confidence in your emotional resilience doesn't come from believing nothing can shake you. It comes from knowing that even when you are shaken, you can steady yourself again. You learn how to breathe through stress. You learn how to think instead of react. You learn how to pause instead of panic. You learn how to respond instead of explode. One of the most important aspects of building emotional resilience is learning to tolerate discomfort instead of rushing to escape it. When you feel frustrated, your mind may want relief. When you feel anxious, you may want certainty. When you feel sad, you may want distraction. But resilience is built by staying present with the emotion long enough to understand its message. Emotions are not threats. They are signals. They tell you where you need to grow, what you need to heal, and what boundaries you need to strengthen. Another key to emotional resilience is taking responsibility for your internal state. It's recognizing that while you can't control everything around you, you can control how you choose to respond. Blaming the world, blaming circumstances, blaming other people. These patterns weaken your emotional core because they place your power outside yourself. Resilient individuals reclaim that power. They say, I can't control what happened, but I can control what I do next. That mindset alone turns every challenge into a chance to grow stronger. Every emotionally resilient person has learned the skill of perspective. When difficulty hits, they don't get trapped in the moment. They zoom out. They remind themselves that the pain they're feeling is temporary, not permanent. They remind themselves of past challenges they've already overcome. They remind themselves that this moment too will become part of their strength. Perspective gives you the emotional breathing room you need to stay calm in chaos. Emotional resilience is also built through consistency. It's built when you practice emotional discipline daily, keeping your word, staying grounded, managing stress, maintaining composure, practicing gratitude, setting boundaries, prioritizing your mental well-being. These habits accumulate. They create an internal foundation that grows stronger the more you reinforce it. Over time, emotional resilience becomes second nature, not because life stops being difficult, but because you no longer crumble in the face of difficulty. You become someone who can navigate life with steadiness, intention, and clarity. Someone who can handle pressure with poise. Someone who doesn't collapse under stress because you've trained yourself to stand tall. You don't need to be born strong. You need to choose strength every time life invites you to build it. Emotional resilience is built through every tear, every setback, every moment of doubt you survive. It's built every time you refuse to break. And the more you build it, the more unstoppable you become. Not because life gets easier, but because you become powerful enough to handle whatever life brings. Progress is one of the most misunderstood parts of the journey toward becoming stronger. People expect it to be obvious. They expect it to be loud. They expect clear signs, dramatic breakthroughs, or some unmistakable moment where everything suddenly makes sense. But real progress doesn't usually look like that. Real progress is quiet. It's subtle. It often shows up disguised as struggle, as repetition, as tiny steps that feel too small to matter. And because it doesn't look dramatic, people assume they're not growing. They assume they're stuck. They assume that if they can't see progress, it must not exist. But the truth is this progress is always happening, even when you don't see it. The reason progress is hard to notice is because you are living inside the process. You're too close to your own growth to see how far you've come. Just like someone watching grass grow, if you stare at it every day, it looks the same. But come back a week later, suddenly everything's different. Your growth works the same way. It accumulates quietly, invisibly, until one day you look back and realize you're not the same person you were before. That's why staying consistent matters so much, because even when you don't see the results yet, the process is still working within you. You grow every time you try. You grow every time you show up. You grow every time you push through resistance. But growth doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't always reward you instantly. Sometimes progress is simply the fact that you didn't quit. Sometimes progress is the strength you build when things are not changing as fast as you hoped. Sometimes progress is the patience you develop, the discipline you enforce, the resilience you strengthen, all while waiting for the results to appear. People give up too soon because they mistake slow progress for no progress. They get frustrated because they're doing the right things and not seeing immediate payoff. They think they're moving backward when really they're building the foundation for something bigger. Progress is not always visible in the mirror or reflected in your circumstances. Sometimes progress is internal. It's mental. It's the quiet shift in how you think, how you respond, how you carry yourself. These shifts are easy to overlook, but they are often the most powerful indicators of growth. Think about times in your life when you faced something difficult, something that once would have overwhelmed you. But this time, you handled it differently. You were a little calmer, a little more confident, a little less reactive. That is progress. That is proof of growth. You might not have noticed it in the moment, but the version of you who struggled years ago would be amazed at the way you navigate challenges now. That's how progress reveals itself, gradually, quietly, then suddenly. Progress also requires patience. The world we live in is obsessed with quick results, instant gratification, and fast success. But anything meaningful takes time. Mastery takes time. Transformation takes time. You can't plant a seed and demand a tree by tomorrow. Growth doesn't work on your timeline. It works on its own. The process may feel slow, but slow progress is still progress. And often the slowest growth leads to the most lasting change. What people forget is that progress isn't linear. It doesn't move in a straight line. It loops, it dips, it stalls, it accelerates. Some days you feel unstoppable. Other days you feel like you're sliding backward. That is normal. That is part of the process. Progress often hides in the moments where you want to quit but choose not to. In the moments where you're tired but still show up. In the moments where fear whispers that you're failing, but you keep going anyway. These moments shape you. They harden your resolve. They prove your dedication. Even if you don't see the results right away, the effort is carving strength into you. Progress is also cumulative. Every effort adds up, even the small ones, especially the small ones. A single workout doesn't transform your body, but 100 do. A single day of discipline doesn't change your life, but months of it do. A single courageous decision doesn't rebuild your confidence, but dozens of them do. Small actions, repeated consistently, create monumental change. This is why you must keep going even when you don't see immediate results, because every step counts. Every step builds momentum. Every step prepares you for the next level. One of the most important parts of understanding progress is realizing that feelings are unreliable indicators. You might feel like you're not improving, but your feelings don't measure truth. Your actions do. You may feel like nothing is happening, but that doesn't mean growth isn't occurring. You may feel stuck, but the work you're doing is shaping you in ways you can't see yet. Feelings fluctuate. The process does not. Trust the process more than your emotions. And here's the beautiful part. Other people will often notice your progress long before you do. Someone might comment on how much calmer you seem, how focused you've become, how strong your boundaries are, how determined you look. While you're busy doubting yourself, your growth is becoming visible to others. That's how progress works. It reveals itself slowly, then all at once. But progress requires one thing from you: that you don't stop, that you don't quit just because you can't see immediate results, that you don't walk away from your growth just because it feels invisible. Keep going when it's hard. Keep going when it's boring. Keep going when you're uncertain. Keep going when you feel like nothing is changing, because something is changing. You are changing. The work you're doing today is shaping the strength you'll depend on tomorrow. Progress is proof. Even if the proof isn't visible yet, every effort matters. Every step forward counts. And the moment you feel like nothing is happening is often the moment something powerful is being built inside you. The moment before the breakthrough is usually the moment that feels the most discouraging, which is exactly why you must keep going. Keep going because your future self is already thanking you. Keep going because your progress is happening beneath the surface. Keep going because transformation takes time. Keep going because strength is being built in the silence. Keep going because the proof will reveal itself when you've earned it. Even if you can't see it yet, forward is forward. And the version of you you're becoming will be worth every step you take today. In the end, the truth is simple. Life will not suddenly become easier, lighter, or more forgiving. You will become stronger, sharper, more resilient, more capable. Every challenge you face is shaping you. Every setback is refining you. Every moment of doubt is testing the strength you're building. You are not here to be protected from difficulty. You are here to rise because of it. Strength is not given. Strength is earned. And you are earning it every time you choose discipline over comfort, growth over excuses, and purpose over fear. You've already proven you can survive the hard moments. Now it's time to prove you can build from them. Don't wait for the world to get easier. Train for the world as it is. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Create momentum with what you have. Don't wait for confidence. Build it through action. You are becoming someone powerful, someone unrecognizable from the person who started this journey. So keep going. Keep pushing. Keep choosing the harder path on purpose. Because the strongest version of you is not a possibility. It's an inevitability as long as you refuse to quit. The message is not gets easier. The message is you get stronger. And your strength is just getting started.